All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us for Coffee with Collections. Just to start us off, I want to say a big thanks because this virtual program is made possible through the generous support of donors like you. Because the South Dakota Art Museum receives operational funding from South Dakota State University and the South Dakota Arts Council, your donations, memberships, and gifts fund fantastic exhibitions and programs like this. My name is Abigail Ramsbottom, and I'm the Curator of Education.
And I'm Taylor McKeown, the Collections and Exhibitions Curator.
Today, we have guest Erik Ritter joining us, and Erik is an instructor of studio art at South Dakota State University. He's both a visual and music artist. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, we also wanted to note that one of Erik's assemblages, which is part of the museum's permanent collection, is on display in an exhibition which closes this Saturday, January 27th. So come out and see that. The exhibition is titled Succession, and it pairs the works of students and teachers. So here is Erik's assemblage on the right, paired with one of Signe Stewart's works from the permanent collection. Today's Coffee with Collections will look a little different from our previous programs. We're excited since Erik is an assemblage artist. We have asked him to talk with us about the works by Don Boyd from the collection, who is a professor at South Dakota State University from 1974 to 1986 and was the leader of Fluxus West art movement for decades. Erik, will you introduce us to Fluxus?
All right, let's do it. As Batman said, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. All right, so in the spirit of Fluxus, I've created a Fluxus box here. So we will start with the directions. Read me. Hold for awkward pause. It's very Fluxus that I folded it poorly. All right. Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay. The action of reading this transcript has now begun the art activity. People of the presently discoverable universe, in the spirit of today's selections for Coffee with Collections, I have created a new Flux box. With this, I will be facilitating the inaugural performance of Refluxus. Refluxus is the unnatural rehash, reanimation, and rebirth of Fluxus, the movement first introduced by George McKeown. Fluxus was an interdisciplinary art movement that emerged in the 1960s and aimed to blur the boundaries between different art forms such as music, visual arts, and performance. McKeown played a crucial role in organizing and promoting Fluxus events and collaborations, which often involve playful and unconventional approaches to art making. His vision and efforts helped to shape Fluxus into a significant and influential movement in the art world. Included within the context of this Flux box are Fluxus bingo cards that will help us explain the concepts and aesthetics of the Fluxus materials we will be examining. All right,
Wonderful.
So we'll start to open the box. Now, the art activity has started. So everyone here present and online, you are all part of this Fluxus happening. Correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And we'll begin to assemble the Fluxus box. We can gander there a little bit. So I'll let you look at that for a little bit. The Fluxus art movement is characterized by the following. Number one, interdisciplinary approach. Fluxus artists embraced a wide range of art forms, including music, visual arts, performance, poetry, and film. They sought to break down the traditional boundaries between these disciplines. Other elements of Fluxus art, anti-art, happenings and events, which we are doing right now.
Okay.
Fluxus often involved everyday objects. Fluxus artists incorporated everyday objects and materials into their artworks, challenging the idea of art as something separate from everyday life. Humor and playfulness. Number 6, flux kits. This is kind of a flux kit, and that's really where it kind of started, by selling, building these flux kits in multiples and then selling them to the public for a very affordable price in the 60s. Collaboration and collective spirit. You're all part of this collaboration. Conceptual and process-based art. Number 9, political and social critique. And finally, an international network, and you talked about the network that Don Boyd was a part of. Okay, so we'll continue to unveil this here. Any questions on what you see so far?
I'm wondering what this is.
Yes.
So an everyday object, this is from a 50s radio.
Oh, okay.
And being an assemblage artist, I've got a plethora of so-called useless ephemera, is the technical thing. Got this from the dollar store off some cheap and useless good.
Nice. And I like is that like a washing machine handle?
Yes, so
Nice.
I've been a maintenance man off and on for 30 years as well. So this was from the job. It's a broken dial from a dryer. This came from a student, I think. And this was left over in an apartment. These are some type of shelf.
Okay.
And I originally started making this to fit the 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then as I was going through my stuff, these things fit perfectly. So that meant that it had to go into the piece. All right. Here are your Fluxus. Is it Fluxus bingo cards?
And I believe Carolyn is putting a bingo card in the chat if she hasn't already, if those at home want to participate.
But that maybe go somewhere. We'll figure it out. Okay. Is it upside down? Yeah, okay, we got it right. So some things. Magnets to hold the metal cover down. I included a pen in case we needed it, but we don't use pens in here now. I just learned, so we'll put that away. So this is kind of more of a special object that I was saving for a unique opportunity. It's from a mailbox. And one thing that you will see in Fluxus, and maybe we should go to the bingo card now, just to start to look a little bit. So you'll notice this isn't the official, we're not starting the official bingo yet. This is just a test run.
Okay.
So here is a label. So I believe on here, we have one that says, are things labeled or tagged? Did you find it?
It's wrapped.
Well, this is a very this is a Fluxus thing to leave the tag in there.
Okay.
And I believe you'll see that later when we look at Don's work as well. So you got the tag there. These are anyone who's laid tile will recognize these as spacers for when you put tile in the bathroom. Some Easter eggs there as a reference to actual Easter eggs.
Oh, sure.
What is that? We don't know. But it's fun, right?
It is very fun.
And now I think you said that collaboration was important.
Yes.
To creating things like a flux kit. I think I saw a video of you creating this. Did you collaborate with anyone in the process?
My son helped with it.
Cool.
He was always giving me a critique as we moved along here. And then also always when you're doing assemblage, you know, like a student gave me this and so we could call that a collaboration as well. And I wouldn't even begin to know where all this stuff came from. These blocks, I want to say I've held on for a long time, and they could be from Grandma Donna, my mom,
Cool.
from way back. That would have been 15 years that I've held on to those.
Mm.
So that's another thing about Fluxus and assemblage art. These things, you know, the longer that you hold on to them, the more important they become. Okay. All right. So we'll open this up,
Oh,
see what we have inside here.
Photograph.
Photograph. Who is that? Do we recognize him?
I don't.
I don't know who that is.
It's David Bowie.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
is that
sure.
David Bowie?
Oh,
Now, it's Bowie was hung out with Fluxus artists, and he incorporated some of the techniques when he made his lyrics. So he would take a newspaper, cut up the words, throw them on the table, and then reassemble them, and those would become lyrics. Mostly on his album Low, I believe,
cool.
where he has a song, Andy Warhol,
Hmm.
who we might talk about as being kind of sort of a Fluxus artist as well. We have a little tic-tac-toe board here, and if we chose to, we could play.
Cool.
Okay. So let's, do you want to make a move?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So which, I'm
I went
Silver.
for- Yeah.
Okay, so. Thing is, we're not gonna have enough pieces, I don't think, here.
It's a modified
Oh.
tic-tac-toe game.
Yeah.
Yep,
We'll
but,
let you win
okay,
since you're our guest.
okay. If I can grab it. The thing is, let's go back to our card.
Okay.
Absurd,
Absurdity.
absurdity. So not having enough pieces for the tic-tac-toe board is somewhat absurd.
Sure.
Another way, I thought about them being all one color. That would have been even more absurd.
That's good.
Curiouser and curiouser, right?
Mhm.
Who knows the reference? Curiouser and curiouser.
Mm-mm.
Alice in Wonderland, you got
There
it.
we go. Tech support.
Producer Abigail Gebro.
There you go. So we got a little green feather here, and there's a hole. That could go there. And this whole piece can come out. And you can see I branded it, and this is another part on the bingo, stamped images, Refluxus, oh, right here.
Cool.
Okay. And our blue fur and another egg. That's all the treats for
Cool.
now.
Yeah.
So just to
It's
give
a
you an
very
idea.
cozy box.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Very inviting.
So what are some of our other? On our
Does it have a
calling card?
cross? I know there is one, isn't there?
Yep,
Yeah.
and let's talk about why the cross. Do we know why?
We might know why the cross. Do you
Take a
wanna
guess.
show? Yeah.
No,
One of the leaders of the movement.
yep, so one of the very,
Important
probably
symbol.
one of the most famous Fluxus artists was Joseph Beuys.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he had this whole mythology of surviving a plane crash and being wrapped in felt and being taken off by the first aid, and that's where that red
Oh.
cross comes from.
Okay.
So that became part of the brand of Fluxus later on because of that. And everything I'm saying is subject to debate.
Abby, do
These
you
are-
want to share the cross image from Joseph Beuys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So this
that'd
is
be great.
a work that's at the Tate Museum in England. So you saw that kind of nod to the cross in Erik's work, and we're also going to see that in Don Boyd's work as well.
all right, I'm wrapping this up.
Cool.
Maybe can we find one more thing on this box from our calling card? Could anyone make it?
I don't know if I could make that as well as you did, Erik, but I do think I could make one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
everyone
I
could
go-
make, absolutely could make a box, and if we could go back to that. So like right here, that's not really great craftsmanship. Putting the L brackets on the outside, but that's also part of the Fluxus kind of anyone do it yourself can put this together. Most of this is put together with hot glue very quickly. I also like that the form follows function. The handle right there.
Sure.
Cool.
All right, onward.
Well,
Don Boyd.
thank you though, you made that specifically for today, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so now we're going to look at an object from the museum's personal or permanent collection rather, by Don Boyd, who, as I said, was a leader in the Fluxus movement. He was director of the Fluxus West movement for over 40 years. And he taught here at the SDSU campus for over a decade. So this was gifted to the museum in 1992. And immediately I'm seeing something that would be, well, a couple things I think that would be on our bingo card.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's go right into it. I've got my calling card here. And go ahead and cross it off. What,
Cool.
name it, what do you see?
Yeah, does it have a cross?
Yeah.
There it is.
I know I also saw, I can't see it right now.
My one says contains stamped text,
Okay,
and I think that's looking to me to
Mhm.
be a
Yeah.
stamp.
All right, so if you're playing at home, we have a cross. Cross that off on your Fluxus bingo, and we have stamped text.
mhm. I think there also might be one where, each time that it's passed on to someone, they make a notation about that, so that's cool here.
Yep, I'm gonna say that right now. Does it record dates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cool one here is the final date is January 22nd, 1992. Don Boyd wrote that it was given to the South Dakota Art Museum.
And this is part of the art is process, not product, which I believe is on our bingo card as well.
Yes.
You know, the idea that the art is happening right now, and the most important part of it is the making of it. And it doesn't have to be this incredibly shiny, beautiful painting, sculpture.
Mhm.
It can be these everyday objects from everyday people.
Yeah.
Everyday people.
You need to make a Fluxus playlist for us. to
Sure.
listen to
Oh.
After.
Well, I will like take your challenge and we'll put that on the, maybe on the YouTube,
Sure.
Cool.
the YouTube.
Well,
There.
I'm seeing another one on mine, multimedia.
Yep,
Okay. I don't think I have that one.
don't you?
Oh, there it is.
This should all be there, should all be the same. Multimedia, yep, so meaning it's got painting, it's got text, graphic design, elements of sculpture, conceptual ideas happening.
Mhm.
There's a cassette tape right there,
Mhm.
definitely multimedia happening there. I wish we
Sure.
could listen to it.
Yeah.
I think this
Oh,
is
the
an
picture,
image
yeah,
of
nice.
Don Boyd.
Everyday imagery, everyday images.
Yep, that is an official, cross that off on your bingo card.
I also have, is it an archive? And there are archival materials in here.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of cool. I think this has to do with a dinner that was hosted by South Dakota State University art history professor Norman Gamble.
Mhm.
And I'll read some of the title of it was something Fluxus in food, black and white, geometric, organic, healthy, unusual, whatever you like.
And I'm gonna take that moment there to point out, which I believe is on here, simple, question mark. Is it simple? So that description is very
Mhm.
simple.
Mhm.
And does this seem overly complicated or simple?
Quite simple.
I think it seems relatively simple.
Relatively simple, okay?
I will say this box to me is not as inviting as the box you created. The blue boa really added
Yeah.
an element of.
Yes, and I was considering that as I was making the box, and I'm a little bit more on the glam side of Fluxus and Refluxus. But true Fluxus is, it shouldn't take a lot of effort. You shouldn't think too hard about it. It should be quick. You should,
Okay.
yeah, so
Mhm.
that's what's happening here. This is genuine, authentic, old school. What do the kids say? The OG, the GOAT?
DOG,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Old
GOAT,
head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got?
Are
I-
things tied up?
Hmm,
This doll is tied in leather. Which I did read was a common thing that
Mhm.
Don Boyd specifically used a lot was sheep's leather.
okay,
And that one also is stamped. It says found art by Don Boyd.
hmm,
Okay, I'm still not at a bingo though.
Me
Okay.
neither. Is it funny?
I mean, I think this is just kind of funny. Fluxus stick. Just a stick.
Yeah.
Mhm. South
But-
Dakota stick.
yeah. But now that it is in the Fluxus mini museum, it's not just a stick. Now it's a very important stick.
Is it?
Taylor's not sure. So also documenting when it was found.
Mhm.
And I think as we were doing the bingo, you should at some point sign your bingo card and put down the date, because we're gonna put these back into the Refluxus box.
Okay,
Okay,
cool,
alrighty then.
Because this is all part of the art
cool.
happening
Yeah.
experience.
What about everyday objects? Everyday material?
A stick, absolutely, a
Mhm.
rock. That looks like a doorknob.
Lada's class has bingo.
Oh,
Congratulations. Is it Fluxus? Sounds like it is.
Great.
Yeah, and then so there's some loose change in there.
Is that anti-commercial?
I would say the looseness and the almost punk rock, do it yourself kind of
Mhm.
marker on the stick.
Yeah,
That's very anti-commercial.
yeah.
So that would be do it yourself. That would be anti-commercial. Can we cross any
A
others?
ready-made. The stick is, I would say, definitely a ready-made object.
Yep,
Mhm.
the doorknob, ready-made.
I thought I saw directions. I know there's a notation on, yes, it says on the outside of the box, Fluxus West.
Hmm. Oh, but are we
That's
talking
literal.
about north, south, east, west? Or
Yeah,
are we
I mean,
talking about instruction
both.
direction?
Maybe both. Maybe it could
I
be
want to get a
both.
bingo, so I'm gonna say.
Go for it. We'll give you that. So we've got ready-made, we've got directions. Could anyone make it?
It appears so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all right, that's an official strike. Could anyone make it? Still no bingos over here, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
What about containers and containers?
we see
This is a
containers.
container, right?
Yep, that
And
is-
there's a lot of
Cassette
like
tape
plastic
container.
baggies that contain objects
Yes,
within
yep.
the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
There's some notes.
Yeah.
Also,
no.
interactive question mark is on here, and we are interacting with the artwork right now.
Mhm. Okay.
You do have a free space.
Free everyday images.
Now, my bingo, I got 2 bingos in a row from containers and containers, and it's
Okay.
also,
Mm.
it's not a cross, but it's almost a cross.
Nice.
So
Show the camera that one.
you can see I have a little bit of a warped cross, but
I also have a bingo.
bingo zingo.
Cool.
Are people still doing that?
You
Or is
are,
that 1990? 1998.
Cool.
All right, so we got bingo.
The
Um,
one I'm interested in embracing chance.
Ah,
What does that look like for a Fluxus piece, embracing chance?
that has probably more to do with the happening of it. So this is happening in
Okay.
real time. Joseph Boys did a performance art piece called I Like America and America Likes Me.
Hmm.
And he was in a gallery. He lived in that gallery space and it was fenced off. And he lived in the space with a wild coyote. And he was covered in felt and he lived with that coyote, I believe, for a week. Leda can help me out on this one
Oh,
probably.
wow.
And the idea is how they started to stake out their territory. And there's video of the coyote actually ripping the felt away from him, like into scraps. I mean, I don't, that's pretty hardcore
Yeah.
to
It is.
live with a wild coyote for a week. So that's elements of chance, definitely,
Cool.
Yeah.
right? I would say elements of chance that I could sneeze on this and that could be a terrible thing. I'm not gonna do that, though. Good. So we got tied up, are things wrapped,
Mhm.
directions, stamp
Mhm.
text, dates. Collaborative, I think we talked about.
Yeah.
We're in a performance right now.
Yeah. I think we got
We
pretty
got
much
a lot.
everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I request one more thing?
Yeah,
I'd like to see what that's all about.
sure, the papers.
Yeah,
Fluxus library case chronology.
so this is your invitation to Google Fluxus and see what it's all about and look up some other Fluxus boxes. Because it goes super deep. Yoko Ono was a Fluxus artist.
Yeah.
John Cage,
Sure.
he did the famous composition 433, where he sat at a piano for 4 minutes and 33 seconds and didn't play a thing. And that drove half the world crazy. How could that be music? But it was very groundbreaking. And from Fluxus, you could say that performance art was birthed from that, multimedia art. And one reason maybe you don't hear about it as much is because it was the Fluxus artists that were kind of driving the ship as far as saying what art is, as opposed to the collectors and the museums who were
Okay.
buying the collection, the objects.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Was that
Yeah.
Ritz
so,
Gallery?
Yep. These are two little pamphlets from the Ritz Gallery.
Okay.
So this was a show of Dana Crooks's work.
Oh,
And then it looks like a Fluxus show that was done there as well,
okay.
both from the 80s.
So Dana Crooks, who I believe still lives in Brookings,
We have a couple of his pieces, one quite similar to this actually in the collection.
Okay, so
Nice.
obviously you would have been a student of Don's.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Signe too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Shout out to Dana.
That's what I love about this box though, is we could come back to this 10
Yeah.
times and still learn more and find more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah. So shall we grab one more piece?
One more object.
And while we're doing the swap, I think kind of what you're saying about a movement being artist driven. I know that opening this box is like, as a museum person, you don't know what to do with it. Because there's this question of like permanence and keeping an object how you want it to be, but Fluxus is really against that, right? It's more about something happening in a moment of time.
Mm-hmm. And that's the anti-art part of it as
Yeah.
well.
So we have this lovely piece. What is the title of the work, Taylor?
It is untitled, but it's
Okay.
this upper part here, we're gonna change our brightness just a little bit so you guys can see it better. It's a paint by numbers Joe Stewart kit.
There is something on the paper, although it appears that there is not.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's semi-sculptural.
Yeah, so do you want to kind of talk through what we're looking at here, Eric?
Yeah, so if we're talking about the bingo, so this is a collaborative work
Mhm.
between Don and Joe Stewart. It looks like we have directions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Use sandpaper on knobs. I'm reading it upside down. Color in rectangle with pencil. Leave top rather, help me.
Sashimi-like or unfinished. 3, matte and frame handsomely. 4, hang on a west wall.
Nice.
So I guess I could give a little context to what we're looking at. Joseph Stewart was our longtime director of the South Dakota Art Museum, and he also created really wonderful minimalist paintings, which I think we have an image of one that we're going to share from the collection. So you can see this is a work by Joe Stewart with those two kind of appendages at the bottom and a textured surface, but very minimalist, and all largely one color, looking at different tones of one color. So I love this work because it's kind of a tongue in cheek. You know, Don was a friend of Joe's, I think.
Oh, yeah. And this was donated by Joe and.
Joe and Signe,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Can we go back to that for just a second? I just want to shout out for this, because Joe Stewart's textures influenced my work on some of the monochromatic stuff that I do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Yeah, so maybe there's sand in that one, but he always had really subtle, yeah, get right up in there. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of sand mixed with pigment, maybe concrete, I'm not sure. So I always, Signe being my instructor, but also Joe, I took modern art from Joe. And so their voices are in my head every once in a while as I'm working on stuff. Sometimes I have to tell them to be quiet. Other times, sometimes I listen.
Cool.
Yeah, so we have directions, and this piece is very similar to the one. Oh, now you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are raised up almost a half an inch, probably made with modeling paste, something like that. We have the absurd part of the directions hang on a west wall, as if that would matter at all.
And oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, and even the little piece of sandpaper, it says NE1. So this is for anyone could make this, it's saying. I think it's also, a little humorous.
Yeah.
And that goes with our bingo.
Yeah.
Can anyone make it?
Yeah.
So,
Do it yourself. Stamped.
It is stamped, and it's
Yeah.
also a little funny because it says copied right by Don Boyd.
Yep. Here. So a lot in one object again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This is my chance to give that quote. Good artist copy, great artist steal.
There you
And
go.
that often gets attributed to Pablo Picasso, but I don't think he originated that. But if you've taken any classes with me, you've heard me say that 400 times.
No.
cool. Good one.
Yeah.
All right.
So those are our objects for the day. If anybody has any questions for Eric or about the object specifically, we take those now. You can unmute or put them in the chat.
You might have said it. Who's the photo of in that work?
I
think it's Don.
I think it's Don Boyd. Yeah. Yep.
Sitting very schoolboy proper.
Everyday images.
Might be a question here.
Where did this photo begin? Or where did this movement begin? Excuse me. And when?
1960, George McKeown, and he wanted to create this anti-art movement to basically give art back to the people, the everyday people. So that's these Fluxus boxes were made in multiples, and they were very affordable. And then from that, people joined in and embraced the anyone can do it aspect of it. And that's when you got Yoko Ono doing a performance where people were invited to come up and cut off pieces of her clothing. John Cage doing his piece that I mentioned. And it's hard to say. I think it's kind of making a comeback. That's kind of why I did the Refluxus thing. If you get online, you can see some retrospective exhibitions are starting to pop up.
Cool. And you said you want to make more boxes.
I'm gonna make more boxes.
Good.
This is my new thing.
Good.
Refluxus.
Cool. And anybody watching at home, you can do it too, which
Yeah.
I think is
Please
great.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
And someone did ask where, and did you say New York or?
Yep,
Yeah.
New York, where
New
everything
York,
happens.
and then, but they also, from the Tate Museum, they said that the major centers were New York, Germany, and Japan. So this is
Germany
a
with-
global movement.
Yep, Germany with Joseph Beuys, and Japan. Yoko Ono had a part of that. She traveled to Japan with John Cage, and that's what kind of started the movement over there.
Hmm.
So Yoko Ono is really a big part of this.
Cool.
If you know, and then we go into John Lennon, the White Album, number 9, I think it's the title of the song. That's basically a Fluxus piece. And the White Album with just the text on the front, that could be a Fluxus piece of art as well.
Cool.
Are there any contemporary Fluxus artists?
Well, I suppose I could say I am. I
I
don't
was
know.
gonna say Erik Ritter.
Who else? Well, yeah, I mean, Meow, what's the
Oh, Meow Wolf.
Meow Wolf is very Fluxus.
Sure.
Yeah, you could see, like, they have an entire store of imagined and crazy products. So it's very absurd, funny.
And they have
Collaborative.
locations all over, right?
Yeah.
I've been to one in Santa Fe, and I think there's one in Colorado, maybe in Denver.
Yeah, one in Las Vegas, I think.
Cool.
I haven't been to one yet. It's on my
They're
to-do
wild.
list.
A lot of fun.
Cool. Any other questions?
There you go, Pat. Try it out.
Mhm.
I think, Pat, you should make South Dakota Art Museum history Fluxus box.
Anyone can do it, absolutely.
Mhm.
Someone says, do you have to know the history of the objects or artist to appreciate the Fluxus in yours?
Say that again.
Do you have to know the history of the objects or artist to appreciate Fluxus in years to come?
I don't think you do. I mean, just opening, everyone likes to get a basket on Easter morning and see what's in it, right?
Mhm.
And open it up.
Mhm.
Presents at Christmas, you know, who doesn't like opening an envelope?
That's what I really like about it, is it's so about discovery
Yeah.
and fun. You know, this has been fun, just discovering things we didn't know were there.
Yeah, and I like, I don't know if I mentioned, like, when I made the box, I was trying to fit a 8.5 by 11 sheet.
Mhm.
And then some of the other objects just magically fit in with it. And I love the synchronicity of that.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like the universe is talking to me when that happens.
Cool.
Well, one thing I know, you have in the collection, I don't know what it's titled, but I think it was done by Don Boyd, a large plaster man or whatever that has never been, while I was there, it was never brought out of the box or storage. I always wanted to exhibit it, but you know, it could fall apart or whatever.
Yeah, me too, John. We looked at an image of it for today's program and all said, oh, we wish we could pull that out. There's also a great neon sculpture by Don Boyd in the collection that would be fun to see out of its crate someday. So
Well, maybe this spurs interest in a Don Boyd retrospective, maybe. And then that's, you know, if you're pulling out that large plaster sculpture, elements of chance, maybe it does fall apart,
Goodness.
you know?
Don't you also have a miniature one of that?
Yes, I think we do in a box. Yes, we
Okay.
actually, I think we have probably 15 works by Don Boyd. So this is just a couple of them that we were able to share today.
Mhm.
Couple more questions in the chat. Did you see this? So Leda was confirming that as an art historian, my answer is yes to the, do you need, since everyone is born out of a context, knowing that context is crucial. So she does feel like
Sure.
knowing the history of the object of the art is important.
Well, also part of Fluxus is arguing. So throughout the movement, these people did not get along, and George McKeown would constantly kick people out, and then they be readmitted to Fluxus.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the more you learn about it, the more fun it is. It's very dramatic.
Someone says, is there any Fluxus wall art putting together of images in an absurd way?
Absolutely, yeah. Nothing's coming to mind that I know there is though. Yeah, I mean, you have Fluxus boxes, just one part of it.
Sure.
You could say Jenny Holzer is Fluxus, even though I don't think she would label herself that. But things, anything that's interactive, something will come to mind as soon as we go off the air here.
Yeah. Well, and Jenny Holzer, if you don't know, she's known for her like electronic signboards with phrases going round and round, and sometimes they're absurd, but sometimes they're political. It's kind of a blend.
Yeah, sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're really sad. And Don Boyd, one of Don Boyd's pieces doesn't it have a board in it with electronic words in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
We might have to call this performance to a close.
All right, officially, this Fluxus event is now closed. Make sure that you sign your Fluxus bingo.
okay.
Everyone online, you have been a part of this experience. I will put the Fluxus bingo cards back in the box to be discovered at some other time. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Thank
coming,
you so much,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a great day.